Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishnan. And basically, today we are going to talk about the formula part basically, that is basically 90 number, 91 number, 90 we have already used. So in this, basically, we are going to, we were basically talking about the sixth question basically. Who created the software industry? Who created the project management plan? Who created the SDLC? So for that, basically, we have discussed that there are many tools basically which says that there is no need to communicate between phone. There is no need to communicate between the phone calls. Then physical talk basically is not required basically. For that, basically, the many tools are there. There basically which basically you can say there are 10 people, and all 10 people are basically working in different company, and all 10 people are doing the work basically. Like this, basically, the SDLC tools are created. So without any communication, also basically there is, for example, there are 10 countries like this. For example, USA, there are few people in America. Sorry, in Europe, there are many people. In Italy, there are many people. In India, there are many people who are basically doing the job basically. So without basically interaction with the phone, basically they are doing the work. Wow, that is basically through the SDLC tools basically created. So like this, the SDLC tools are created because the requirement came into picture. Like this, basically each and every things are getting created as per the requirement. Basically. Like this, SDLC got created previously. Previously also there was a document. It was not that the document was not there basically, but the format was not there. Format means what basically? Format means you can say one person has created one document that basically few people thought that basically that is a good document, so that can be spread basically, that can be shared. So he shared that document basically. Then basically slowly that document got famous, and like this the document was basically like this, for example, project specification document, which was basically created by one of the person basically, but that was basically shared by that person to another person. Like this, the sharing got happened. Like the same way UTC was prepared. UTC was also not prepared. UTC also like this came this like this only basically. Previously SDLC was not there basically, but the SDLC stuff basically which was ongoing, that was basically done by the few people. Then that basically stuff was basically they thought that it is a good process. Then basically we can implement these things basically. And there basically each and every R&D was done. Each and every the problem basically which was going to face the problem, the people which was going to face the problem. That each and everything basically you can say the future plans basically, and the future problems basically which was going to face basically, that was basically pre-planned. So basically, each and everything was planned, and like this, the SDLC department basically got created because the document got famous, and which was getting used by the many software companies. And then basically it got paid basically like this. Basically, the SDLC department told that we will do our work or we will do the SDLC department work. Like this, basically the SDLC document basically got few documents got paid. Like this, there are few tools also got paid. Like this, basically the money also start generating from the SDLC department. Like this, basically the uh, tools basically that are basically Jira is there, Project Managers.com is there, Flows.com is there, and many tools are there. They got famous. Like this, the paid services started. Like this, each and everything get started. Few people thought that without communication, how basically we can do the project. For that, basically meeting got started, video recording got started. For that, many tools are there. Jira basically also contain the meetings, and the flows.com also contains the meeting. Project manager also says that we also have the meeting tools. Meeting tools mean basically we just, for example, Google Doc is there. Google Meeting is there. You just need to share that link basically. There basically few people says that we want the authentication also for that basically. You can pass the code also. Like this, they pass the code also, and like this basically the things got fewer. Like this, the without a communication, without physical communication, the communication started. Communication started between the clients, between the developers, between the project managers and clients, project managers and developer, directors and developer, director and project managers, CEO and the developers, CEO and project directors, CEO and company owners, vice president and CEOs, CEOs and project owners. Like this, basically the communication has started. The you can say like for from this basically the one of the project management plan got created. That was basically the communication management plan. So one of the document basically in the project management plan is communication management plan. Like this the communication management plan started. So like this basically each and every things got started as per the requirement came into picture. It's not that the requirement was forcefully fulfilled, so forcefully uh, uh, came into the picture. Basically it was not like that the requirement forcefully came into the picture. It was not like that. So if the requirement was came into picture automatically only, the automatic process basically was there. For example, the project was ongoing, like this lots of stuff was ongoing. For in between the basically if you want to do this stuff, then basically this is required, this documentation is required, that documentation is required. Each and everything basically as per the time, as per the requirement basically of the stuff basically which was doing by the project manager, directors and the company owner. The task basically came into picture. Like this basically stuffs came into the picture, which are the tasks basically which can be done, which task basically which can be do, which task basically we can do, then the problems can be solved. Like this basically the I had just taken the example of the communication management plan, how the communication management plan birth happened, how the SDLC birth happened, how the project management plan project management plan basically came into picture. Like this basically project management plan group basically says that sometime basically it's might possible that the business development group basically who are designing the business development plan, everything basically, they basically gets confused sometime basically because the data are up to that level basically, that basically they get confused and they are not able to do the plan. So for that basically project management plan tool, that those groups told that we can create lots of plans, lots of tools basically for that. So in the tools, basically lots of reports can be created. So basically, project management plan groups told that we can create lots of reports for the softwares. Basically, you can say if we are doing the CRM projects, basically, then basically we can give this all projects, this all basically tools, basically on the basis of you can identify the business level documents, basically business level uh, data, basically. So if I say that business data is equal to business, then also it would not be wrong basically. But the combination of data basically when it's converts, when the combination of data gets into picture, then basically it converts to business basically. That if you are doing these all steps basically from the on the base of this data, then basically it can generate this business basically, you can say. One example I will take on this day basically, if you launch this scheme basically, then basically the business will gets good, business gets good income basically. Like this basically the mall group says that in one day basically we have to spend more than 10 to 4 to 5 lakh rupees. That is our basically expenses if the mall is basically taken in rent. So we have to take that 5 lakh, 4 to 5 lakh rupees per day. So that is the in expense. For that, basically, we have to take that 5 lakh also, and then basically we have to generate the income also. So for that, basically, we have to launch lots of schemes, basically daily, weekly, monthly, like this. Basically, we have to do festival level schemes. We have to do because the manager of the mall says that it takes 1 lakh rupees, sorry, 4 to 5 lakh rupees of per day expense is there. So basically, how we can get out that expense, and then basically we have to generate the income. Also, we have to get the salary from the salaries. Also, we have to pay the salaries also. So each and every stuffs are there, each and every expenses are there. For that, basically, we have to do the plan. Basically, for that, basically, project management people told that we have lots of tools. Basically, we have created on the base of basically reports. Basically, we can tell you basically that which type of plans you can create, which type of schemes you can generate, so that basically you can able to generate the income stably, and stable income is also required. because the stable expenses are always there. So stable income is also required. Sometimes extraordinary income is also required. So like this, basically each and every steps are designed according to the requirement. You can say the requirement as per the requirement getting as per the requirement as given by the set of groups. Basically you can say. So the like this basically SDLC departments also got created, project management plan departments got created, and this basically is already created. And the big software company like CMM level 5 company, Six Sigma, CMM level 1, 2, 3, like this ISO level private company. Basically, most of people basically um, are using the SDLC department. They are using the SDLC department. You can say SDLC department is basically their system. Basically, you can say the system basically created by the SDLC departments. Basically, you can say. And department is created how basically that we have already discussed. So like this, basically the systems are created by set of groups. They says that we have already created the system. Government interacts with them. Government says that we are going to do the trial testing. Basically, we want the set of case studies, basically, which you have done the case study, and then the case studies basically gets authorized. Basically, you can say the case study of them done by the SDLC department. The SDLC department says that we have done the case studies basically. So the case study is gets authorized by the government department, because without government approval, basically nothing happens. So like this, basically the government approves the each and every documents. Basically, for example, project specific documents which was approved by the governments. The CMM level 5 process basically, which was approved by the government, because CMM level certified company, you can how you can say that that is a CMM level certified company on the base of the sign of the certain government groups basically. On the base of that only the company has been authorized for the same level 5 company, and they have certain rules also, regulation also. If they says that if this person is not supposed to be working in this company, then basically it's a union of CMM level 5 basically, um, which gets applied in the company basically, you can say. If they says that we are banning this particular guy, then basically the human resource of CM level 5 group basically becomes one, because it's a CM level 5, it's a one union. So basically they says that we have already banned this guy due to some certain reason basically. Like this basically he gets banned, and then basically you don't get job in the same level 5 company. Here the SDLC does not apply. Nothing gets applied to here to this guy. Like this, this is also one of the part. And then basically how the SDLC department got created, how the project management plan groups got created. Because SDLC departments are used by the certain companies only. Few small companies basically don't prefer the SDLC department also. Why? Because their expenses are not according to the income basically, and their income are not according to the expenses basically. So like this basically there are lots of stuff basically, which basically there basically few things does not apply basically. Few SDLC, for example ISO level company, basically their income are up to good level basically, so they can apply the SDLC. Private few companies basically whose income is not more. So they basically they don't apply. They can't afford the SDLC department. So like this, basically the documents can't apply. We can't apply CM level 5 company. Their project basically charges are up to that level that they can apply the SDLC department. Like this, basically each and every stuffs are there. Each and every systems are created on the base of certain rules and regulations, and created by the certain groups basically, you can say. So like this basically how the SDLC created, how the project management plan created, and how the software industry created, and little bit about the software industry. Software industry basically you can say set of energy source created. Set of energy means human needs basically, that you can say, which was basically created on the base of the natural resources. So, which type of natural resources are there? According to the natural resources, set of energy was created, and from this energy, basically, which energies can be converted to the software energies. Like this, the software energy came into picture, then the energy power bank came into picture, the banks came into the picture. Few so Without banks, basically, you can't create the company. For that, banks came into picture. Power banks came into picture. Power banks, basically, you can say, without power, basically, you can't own the computer. And what is basically how the Microsoft Power Bank is connected, that basically I have already discussed in the video. Like this, basically, how the software industry came into picture, that also we have just talked. So this is basically about the, you can say, which group has created the SDLC, which group has created the project management plan, and which group has created the software industry, basically, you can say. So this was about the sixth question, and seventh question, basically we are going to see a little bit more about the formula word and the question and answer.